Let me share something crucial with you today that could literally add years to your life. We're going to explore a powerful natural remedy that addresses one of the most dangerous silent killers affecting millions of seniors: clogged arteries. Here's what most people don't understand. When you visit your doctor about heart concerns, they typically focus on surface level issues. They'll talk about your cholesterol numbers or prescribe medication for high blood pressure. But here's the problem: they're treating symptoms, not the underlying cause. The real culprit behind most cardiovascular problems is something called endothelial dysfunction. Let me break this down in simple terms. Inside every artery in your body, there's an incredibly thin protective lining, just one cell layer thick. Think of it as the delicate inner coating of your blood vessels. When this lining gets damaged, it triggers a domino effect of health problems. The moment this protective layer is compromised, inflammation rushes in. Your body recognizes the damage and immediately starts a repair process. It sends calcium, cholesterol, and protein to patch things up. So, that arterial plaque everyone fears, it's actually your body's emergency response trying to fix the problem. The real issue is what caused the damage in the first place. Now, here's where things get really interesting. When your arterial lining is damaged, your body's production of a crucial molecule drops dramatically. This molecule is called nitric oxide, and it's absolutely essential for healthy blood flow. Nitric oxide acts like a natural relaxant for your blood vessels, keeping them open and flexible. Without adequate nitric oxide, several dangerous things start happening. Your blood pressure creeps up because your vessels can't dilate properly. Your risk of dangerous blood clots increases significantly. And this is critical because 9 out of 10 heart attacks involve clotting. The walls of your arteries become thick and rigid, losing their natural flexibility. Inflammation spreads throughout your cardiovascular system. The medical establishment often misses this connection. They'll give you blood pressure medication without addressing why your vessels lost their ability to relax in the first place. Here's the encouraging news: there are completely natural ways to boost your nitric oxide levels. Sunshine is one of the most powerful methods. When sunlight hits your skin, it triggers vitamin D production, which is remarkably effective at increasing nitric oxide. Plus, half of the sun's energy comes as infrared light, which independently boosts nitric oxide production. That's a double benefit from simply spending time outdoors. Even something as simple as breathing through your nose instead of your mouth increases nitric oxide. Taking magnesium supplements can elevate your levels significantly. Let's talk about something else your doctor probably hasn't explained. Your body has a built-in system for removing plaque from your arteries. It's called reverse cholesterol transport, and it literally pulls cholesterol deposits out of your arterial walls and sends them back to your liver for recycling. This is important because there's massive confusion about cholesterol. Many people believe dietary cholesterol causes arterial blockage, but your body actually produces most of your blood cholesterol internally. Cholesterol isn't the villain it's made out to be. It's essential for hormone production and countless other functions. The problem isn't cholesterol itself, but the inflammatory damage that causes it to accumulate in the wrong places. Several things activate this natural plaque removal system. Niacin, which is vitamin B3, is remarkably effective at clearing cholesterol from arteries. HDL cholesterol, the kind everyone calls good cholesterol, actively transports cholesterol away from your arteries back to your liver. Regular physical activity triggers this cleaning process. Intermittent fasting, which simply means not eating constantly throughout the day, helps activate it. Following a low carbohydrate eating pattern is particularly effective. Let me address the low carb approach for a moment because I hear a common complaint. Someone will try reducing carbohydrates for 2 or 3 weeks, feel better, see their numbers improve, then go back to eating the way they did before. When their problems return, they claim the approach didn't work. That's like saying exercise doesn't work because you stopped seeing benefits after you quit going to the gym. Here's what many people don't realize: the high carbohydrate diet that most consider normal is anything but normal for human physiology. Let me put this in perspective. Normal blood sugar is around 80 milligrams per deciliter. That equals roughly 1 teaspoon of sugar circulating in your entire bloodstream. Just 1 teaspoon. Meanwhile, the average person following standard dietary guidelines consumes between 50 to 100 teaspoons of sugar every single day. That includes refined sugars and starches, which your body converts to sugar immediately. We're talking about people eating 2,000 calories daily. Many consume far more, so these numbers are actually conservative. Here's the puzzle. How can people eat 50 to 100 teaspoons of sugar daily while maintaining apparently normal blood sugar levels? It seems impossible, doesn't it? The answer is that sugar is so damaging to your arteries that your body has an emergency defense mechanism. Insulin acts like a powerful vacuum cleaner, immediately sucking excess sugar out of your bloodstream before it can cause severe damage. This is why someone can eat enormous amounts of carbohydrates, yet still have normal blood sugar readings on a test. Their insulin is working overtime behind the scenes. But here's the catch. This system only holds up for about 15 to 20 years before your pancreas becomes exhausted from constant overwork. Eventually, insulin production drops lower and lower while blood sugar climbs higher and higher. That's when someone gets diagnosed as pre-diabetic, then diabetic. Diabetes isn't really a disease of high blood sugar. It's a condition where your insulin can no longer compensate for excessive carbohydrate consumption. Of all the interventions for removing fat from your liver, reducing carbohydrates is the most powerful. Research shows you can eliminate 40% of liver fat in just 2 weeks on a low carbohydrate eating plan. But the critical point is this. All that refined sugar converts directly into cholesterol in your body. All that refined sugar creates inflammation that damages your arterial lining, triggering the entire cascade of cardiovascular problems. This is why lowering carbohydrate intake is so essential for maintaining optimal nitric oxide levels and protecting your heart. Your body eliminates excess cholesterol through bile, which is produced by your liver and stored in your gallbladder. This is one reason why people who've had their gallbladders removed sometimes struggle with cholesterol management. They've lost their bile storage system. Bile salts are crucial for processing and removing surplus cholesterol. Let's address the calcium issue. You've probably heard about calcium deposits in arteries. Magnesium is the mineral that controls calcium in your body. If you want to prevent calcium from accumulating where it shouldn't, you need adequate magnesium. This makes sense when you understand how arteries work. They're surrounded by smooth muscle that contracts with calcium and relaxes with magnesium. For anyone dealing with blood pressure concerns, magnesium is absolutely essential. Plant compounds called polyphenols provide powerful protection for your arterial lining. There's one particular polyphenol I'm going to recommend that's extraordinarily effective. Vitamin K2 deserves special mention here. This vitamin actively prevents calcium from depositing in your arteries. It redirects calcium away from soft tissues and keeps it in your bones and teeth where it belongs. For maintaining healthy, flexible arteries, vitamin K2 is invaluable. Now let's get to the remedy I want you to know about. It's based on raw cacao powder, specifically cacao that's high in compounds called flavonols. You might be familiar with cocoa powder, which is roasted cacao. What we're talking about here is the minimally processed raw form before it's turned into chocolate products. When cacao is kept in this raw, barely refined state, it contains concentrated levels of flavonols. These are plant compounds with remarkable antioxidant properties and unique benefits for your cardiovascular system. Here's what absolutely amazed me when I researched this. Raw cacao powder produces effects that are nearly identical to moderate exercise. Researchers actually compared the blood vessel dilation from consuming cacao powder against the dilation from a moderate exercise session. The results were remarkably similar. This happens because cacao powerfully activates the enzyme systems in your body that produce nitric oxide. Think about that for a moment. You can consume something that creates cardiovascular benefits comparable to physical activity. It's almost unbelievable. Here's what I personally do each morning. I add a scoop of beetroot powder to my cacao drink. It creates an interesting flavor that I genuinely enjoy. But more importantly, beetroot is one of the richest natural sources of nitric oxide available. By combining these two ingredients, you're creating a synergistic effect that's even more powerful than either one alone. I usually mix this with slightly warm water, not boiling, just pleasantly warm so everything blends smoothly. Sometimes I'll have it cold instead. It works either way. Here's an important distinction between these two ingredients. Beetroot powder directly provides nitric oxide. It contains the compound itself. Cacao powder works differently. It stimulates your body's own enzyme systems to manufacture more nitric oxide internally. You're getting immediate benefit from the beetroot while training your body to produce more on its own through the cacao. Research has demonstrated that cacao powder can actually reverse arterial stiffness. When your arteries become rigid and inflexible, your blood pressure inevitably rises. This typically happens with aging, though we're seeing it occur earlier and earlier in life. Studies show that regular cacao consumption makes arteries more flexible and less stiff. That's a profound anti aging benefit. What's particularly exciting is that cacao's effects are cumulative. The benefits build over time rather than just providing a temporary boost. It essentially retrains your arteries to produce nitric oxide more efficiently. The positive effects compound with continued use. One study looked at people between 50 and 80 years old who consumed cacao powder daily for just 14 days. The measurements of their arterial wall thickness after those 2 weeks matched people who were 20 to 30 years younger. That's like reversing decades of aging in your cardiovascular system. And the benefits extend beyond your heart and arteries. Your brain benefits significantly, your skin improves, multiple organs and tissues throughout your body respond positively to increased nitric oxide and improved circulation. And here's how to implement this effectively. Mix the raw cacao powder in some warm water and drink it in the morning. However, and this is important, don't consume it at the same time as coffee. Now, I'll admit, I sometimes add cacao to my coffee, but most of the time I keep them separate. Here's why. The caffeine in regular coffee, unless you're drinking decaffeinated, can interfere with nitric oxide benefits. Caffeine tends to constrict blood vessels while we're specifically trying to dilate them. For optimal cardiovascular benefits, consume your cacao drink either 2 hours before your coffee or 2 hours after. If you're more interested in cognitive benefits rather than heart health specifically, then mixing it directly into your coffee works fine. Sometimes I add the beetroot powder, sometimes I don't. Occasionally, I'll include a small pinch of sea salt or even a scoop of magnesium glycinate powder. Magnesium is one nutrient that provides tremendous benefits, particularly for cardiovascular health. One crucial point, don't mix cacao powder into boiling water. Warm water is fine, but boiling temperatures can damage the delicate compounds we're trying to preserve. Remember, this is a raw product, and we want to maintain its natural properties. I also recommend choosing organic cacao powder if possible. Some countries that produce cacao use agricultural sprays that you'd prefer to avoid. Organic certification provides better assurance of purity. Try implementing this simple daily practice and pay attention to how you feel. Notice changes in your energy levels, mental clarity, and overall sense of well-being. Many people report feeling the difference within just a few days. This is one of those rare situations where something simple, affordable, and natural can provide genuinely powerful health benefits. You're not just treating symptoms, you're addressing the underlying mechanisms that maintain healthy circulation and protect your cardiovascular system. Your arteries have a remarkable capacity to heal and regenerate when you provide the right support. This isn't about expensive treatments or complicated protocols. It's about giving your body the specific compounds it needs to activate its natural healing and maintenance systems. Take action on this information. Your future self will thank you for the investment you're making in your cardiovascular health.